you can draw this in Procreate. You can draw this stylized landscape in Procreate. All you need are the brushes that are already in the app, and you'll need to follow this video all the way till the end, of course. And once you have done that, then you can share your work on Instagram, tag me in the image, not just in the description, and perhaps we'll see your work in the next You Can Draw This video. For this tutorial, the canvas is 2500 pixels by 2500 pixels and the color profile is set to sRGB. I have created a color palette for you in case you want to use the exact same colors as I'm using during this tutorial. And if you want to learn more about color and color theory, then be sure to go to Free From Flow to get my free ebook about color theory. Now let's get started. Let's go to the layer menu, that's two little squares, and click background color. And pick this second color here in the color palette. Now we are going to work on layer 1, and we are going to use the monoline brush, which you can find under calligraphy. And for our color, we will pick this first color in the color palette. And we are going to draw a circle. Now you can just draw a wobbly circle and then hold your pen or your finger in place until it snaps to the quick shape tool. Now if you hold one finger on your screen, it'll snap to a perfectly round circle actually. And then let it go and drop in the color like this to fill your circle. We want the circle to be in the exact center of our canvas. We can do that by going to the arrow tool here at the top. Then go to snapping and make sure that you set it to snapping. And now you can drag it around until it's in the center of your screen. You can see that we have these two orange lines. I want to make the circle just a little bit smaller though. If you want to make it smaller, then do be sure that you have uniform turned on here. Now I'll make it a little bit smaller by dragging this handle. And then you'll need to place it in the center again. I think this is looking nice. Now we can click the arrow to get out of there again. Next, we'll duplicate this layer. We'll do that by going to the layer menu and sliding to the left on the layer and clicking duplicate. Then go to the colors and pick the white. That's the third color in the color palette and drag it on top of the circle. Now we'll duplicate this layer again. So slide to the left, click duplicate. And now we will drag the fourth color on top. You can actually also drag your color straight from out of the color palette. You'll need to click and hold it and then drag it on top. And now we have a blue circle. And for this one, we'll make it a little bit smaller. So we'll go to the arrow tool and use the handle in the corner. Do be sure that you still have it set to uniform. Drag the little handle and make your circle smaller. And then be sure to drag it to the center so that you have that orange line, both vertical and horizontal, and you'll know that it's in the center. And then click the arrow again. Now to this blue circle, we are going to add a little gradient. Let's go to the layers and click that layer and set it to alpha lock. Now this circle is locked. We won't be able to paint outside of the circle, so our paint will only show up on the blue circle. For the brush, we are going to the airbrushing brushes and use the soft brush. And for the color, we'll pick this fifth color in the color palette. The opacity of the brush is set to 70% and the size is at 17%. And now we will darken the top area of our circle. And I'm using a little pressure so we have nice transparent strokes. Make the top part darkest and this area a little bit lighter. Now to make your gradient look more smooth, you can go to the magic wand here at the top to the adjustments menu and then click Gaussian blur, set it to layer, and then slide your pen or your finger to the right on the screen to blur it. And I'll go for something like 29.5% and then click the magic wand again. Now it's time to start adding mountains. Let's go to the layer menu again, click the plus for a new layer, And we want our mountains to only show up on that blue area of our sticker-like illustration. So we'll click this layer and turn on clipping mask. Now this layer is clipped to that circle, and whatever we paint on this new layer will only show up inside that circle. We are going to use the selection tool to make our mountain. You can find the selection tool by clicking this S-shaped ribbon here at the top. And we are going to set the selection tool to freehand. Now I just want to show you that when using freehand, you can make flowing lines by just keeping your pen on the screen, or you can tap in areas to make these pointy looking selections. Now this is not the selection we'll be using, so let's double tap with 2 fingers to undo that selection. And now we are going to select our mountain. We are going to start about here, and well, it's not really a corner, but well, it's near the corner of our canvas. Let's go up, and we are going to combine smooth lines with more pointy areas. So sometimes you'll tap on the screen, and sometimes you can make a flowing line. Then loop around here at the bottom and click that little circle to close your selection. Now we are going to grab a color. Let's go to the color palette. We are going to grab this first color here in the color palette and then drag in the color onto your canvas to fill our selected shape. Now click the S-shaped ribbon again to turn off your selection. Next, we are going to do a nice little trick to make the right side of our mountain darker. First thing we'll do is create a new layer by clicking the plus. And again, we will use clipping mask because we don't want our paint to show up outside of that blue circle. Now we'll click layer 4 and then pick select. Now we have a selection of our mountain, which enables us to only paint inside of that selection. And now we'll want to remove a part of this selection. You can do that here in the bottom menu. You can click remove. And while we still have it set to freehand, we are going to remove a part of this selection. We'll start at the top. And first I'll make a little wobbly line. And again, I'll combine it. I'll combine jagged edges, sharp pointy edges with more fluid lines, going all the way to the bottom here. Then loop to the left and then click that little circle to remove that part of the selection. Now only this right side is selected. Now we can pick a color. We are going to pick this third color over here. And do be sure that you are on layer 5, that new layer, and not on that mountain layer. And then drag in the color to fill that area. And click the S-shaped ribbon to get out of there again. Next, I'd like to add some more shapes to the mountain. Let's go to the layer menu again, click the plus for a new layer, and again, use clipping mask. Then we'll go to the selection tool again, and let's make some random selections here on the mountain. Again, combining these pointy parts with more rounded shapes. Let's make a shape over here. We'll make 3 shapes on each side. And a little one over here. Now let's fill this. Let's go to the color palette and pick the second color. And let's drag it into these selections. I want to do the same thing for the right side. So let's go back to the selection tool. I'll click it twice. And let's make some shapes here as well. Again, combining different types of shapes, rounded and pointy. Let's make one over here. And a small one over here. And let's fill that with the fourth color in the color palette. We'll drag it on top of these shapes. Like that, and then click the S-shaped ribbon again to get out of there, and you can see that we've added some interest to our mountain. Now let's add some mountains to the background. First we'll click layer 1, that's the third layer 1, click the plus for a new layer, and you can see that it's automatically clipped to that circle. Again, we are going to make a selection, so go to the S-shaped ribbon, still set to freehand, and let's make some mountains here in the back. Make some pointy ones, combine it with some more fluid lines. And then loop around at the bottom all the way to that circle. And now we are going to grab that fifth color here in the second row and drag it on top of that shape to create these mountains. Then click the S-shaped ribbon to get out of there. I feel like my mountains are a little bit too high up, so you can easily fix that by going to the arrow tool and dragging your mountains down a little bit. Making that one in front look a little bit higher. Then click the arrow again to get out of there. We're almost there. Let's move to the sky. Again, click that layer 1. And click the plus for a new layer, which is automatically clipped to that circle. And again, we are going to use the selection tool, but this time we are going to make fluid lines. We'll start here on the left side and make like these S shapes, double S shapes, and then close the shape here. We'll do the same thing on the right side. And you can start wherever you like. Perhaps it feels more natural to start at the top. You can do that as well. And then go back up. And close that shape. And of course you can take multiple tries until you have these double S-like shapes that you like. Then go to the colors and we are going to pick this one in the bottom. That first color there. And drop in these colors into these double S-like shapes. And click the S-shaped ribbon to get out of there. I actually want the sky, that gradient, to shine through. So we'll go to the layer menu and click that N right here. And we are going to lower the opacity for this layer. You can use the slider for that. And let's drop it down to 55%. And now let's add a moon to our scene. We can click the plus for a new layer, and for the brush, we are going back to the monoline brush under calligraphy. And for the color, we are going to pick this second color here at the bottom. And again, we are going to draw a circle. Let's just draw a wobbly circle. Hold your pen in place, and remember, tap one finger on the screen for a perfect circle. And then drop in the color to fill it. And you can go to the arrow to make sure that it's exactly centered. Now we are going to duplicate this layer. So we'll slide to the left, click duplicate, and then select this bottom layer. I'll go to the magic wand, click Gaussian blur, set it to layer, and then slide to the right to add a glow to your moon. Let's go for something around 16%. And then click the magic wand again. Now click that second moon layer and then click the plus for a new layer on top. And for the color, we'll pick this third color over here. And let's add some stuff to our moon. Let's add some circles. These are like these moon craters. You can just drag in the color to fill these. Or you can just color them in. Perhaps one over here. Like that. Now let's add some stars as well. We'll do that on a layer underneath layer 8. So we'll click that layer 1 again, then click the plus. And for the brush, we'll go to the luminance brushes and use the light pen. And for the color, we are going to use this second color over here. The opacity of this brush is set to 60% and the size is at 20%. And now let's just drop in some stars. You can make some a bit bigger, some a bit smaller. Just place them in random places. Also behind that double S shape, like that mist. Until you have a nice selection of stars in your sky. Something like this. Now finally, we'll go back to that first layer that we created. That's this dark one here at the bottom. We are going to use it to create a drop shadow underneath our sticker-like shape. Let's go to the arrow to the move tool and move it down a little bit until it's over here. Then click the arrow again and go to the magic wand and select Gaussian blur, set to layer. And now we are going to blur it a little bit. Let's say 16.3%. Sounds good. Then click the magic wand again. And there you have your stylized landscape. I hope you have enjoyed following this tutorial. If you did, then do be sure to check out the other You Can Draw This videos as well. There's a whole bunch of them. And once you've watched all of them and you still can't get enough, then you might want to check out my Patreon page. There you'll find a whole lot more Procreate tutorials ranging from beginner level to more advanced levels. Thank you for watching and I will see you next week.